of other things to do, and it's only because obviously the mainstream press that it's been receiving. But it seems after 2 weeks, maybe even more now, and Sony's still no further forward. We've had a letter an open letter on the Sony blog from Mr. Stringer, I believe his name is, and he's one of the presidents, I think he's the president or some high-ranking official of Sony, and he sent a letter apologising to everybody, but not giving any further details about when the network's going to come back online. And they're claiming that they're spending all their time to rectify the problem and secure it for the customers, and they've got the full weight of Sony behind their actions. It seems to me if they tackled this problem with the vigour that they tackled the HOTS case, then maybe we would have had the PlayStation Network back weeks ago, because it doesn't seem to me that there's any sort of urgency around this.
Well, I don't know if this is making the full blogosphere, but they have their hands a little full dealing with some other stuff. Over here, our government is threatening to investigate them. Like I said, election year is like anything that comes in the news. Our government is going to spend all our money. Oh, we care about this. See, vote for us. That's just what happens over here. So they're basically, they don't want to say anything or spend any attention on anything until they figure out what their PR campaign to get everybody off their back is. One of the things that's actually going on over here is there's a number of stores basically giving away PlayStations for free, to try and restore confidence. And so,
a couple of things about this. First of all, I had no idea this guy's name was Mr. Stringer. I had a high school teacher taught me maths with that name, and that's all that name means to me. But yeah, high school memories aside, the Sony thing, the Anonymous thing, the thing that strikes me as odd is Anonymous can't actually... It's impossible for them to deny this. Because, I mean, the way Anonymous is set up, and people perceive it as one group who get together and say, right, we're going to attack this company, this cause, or that cause. It's not like that. It's just people who are in some vague collective that say, right, we're going to go and attack this company, and you've got X amount of those members who say, right, I don't like that company either, I agree with you, I'll go do that. So there's no possible way that they can say they weren't involved. So therefore it's easy for Sony to turn around and say, it was Anonymous. Because what can Anonymous do? They can't actually categorically deny it. They can't possibly deny it.
Unless they admit to a ranking structure or some sort of central command, as it were, to the Anonymous setup. And if I could just add before Rusty comes in, that when Anonymous made that press release, for want of a better word, that they had no structure and it was just a collection of people, I didn't buy that at the time. I don't believe something that organised can be so disorganised. So I would be very surprised if it did transpire that Anonymous just happened to be a random collection of people. Sorry, Rusty.
Oh no, I was just going to say, because of those letters you're talking about, it's made them an easy target. It's when stuff like this goes on, to save face. I know this is a little conspiracy theory and completely unfounded, but it makes sense to say, well, that boogeyman did it.
The target was actually Sony in this case. And it turns out, and a computer science professor is actually speaking about it now, based on findings, that it didn't actually take much effort to attack Sony. And considering the things they did recently, extremely unpopular things, any person would actually exploit what turns out to be very out-of-date Apache server installations. They had it basically unpatched, and no firewall either. So any person with a few scripts could basically take over the servers of Sony, and this is apparently what happened. And if that's the case, it doesn't even matter who did that and what was involved. Any person could just do that. The other thing that actually makes possible is investigation into Sony for negligence, because if they stored things like credit cards on a server that's maybe chained to a server that contains some passwords, they basically, knowingly, by negligence, made it possible for people's credit card to be misused like that. So that's the latest news. It didn't actually take any more than a year.
Well, no, and on the point you're getting on, unfortunately, that's way too commonplace. The official position of so many companies, it's not my info, what do I care? Which is just, I agree with you, it's borderline criminal. You're talking about a degree of ignorance. You cannot be that stupid in this day and age.
I don't think they are that stupid, though. I mean, I was talking to other people in Identical about this, and someone said, how can Sony be as naive or as stupid? I don't think they are. I think what it is Sony are like many other huge companies. They're comprised of lots of different departments, different divisions, and each division has got targets to meet. And, that means cutting costs. And, I mean, when they call in the security experts, they should have called them in right at the start when they were designing the whole system. But they didn't. They thought they'd get away with it. They got caught with their pants down.
Yeah, sometimes what happens, the person who's supposed to do security actually decides to leave the company. And even if they pick up a new person to replace, to take the place of the previous person, he doesn't exactly know the procedures and how to handle the server. This is something I see very often in my job, one of my jobs. You cannot assume that you just put a person in place to take care of a big collection of servers and things will just take care of themselves because somebody sets up a cron job or something.
Well, and even then, even if you secure it right to start with, I mean, every week we must find a dozen, oh, by the way, there's this vulnerability, oh, there's this exploit, oh, there's this thing. You have to continue to patch these things as people get cuter.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I saw in Identical was people asking, what's in it for Sony for them to target Anonymous if it wasn't them? And my immediate point back was that was lobbying. If they can point to Anonymous and say, those boogeymen did it, therefore we need extra laws to protect the good name of capitalism and the good name of Sony customers and blah, blah, blah. If they can put the blame on someone who cannot possibly categorically deny it, then that helps their lobbying position for introducing new things to do with ACTA and all this kind of stuff.
Well, sorry, go on, Rusty.
I was just going to say he's right in some ways. It's the 1980s again, like when we went completely overboard on hackers being gods or something. It's like, no. That's...
I think that the word was, what's his name, Mitnick, basically. The judge said something like you could whistle into a phone and launch nuclear missiles or something.
Captain Crunch was the one who was hacking AT&T. But honestly, Mitnick shouldn't have gone to jail because he basically, what he did was he accessed systems and copied the stuff. And they said, you stole it. Well, based on what the law was at the time, he didn't actually steal it. He was prosecuted in law that they were writing. And they said, now that we've put him away and put him in solitary confinement because we're afraid he can hack through the lights. That guy's doing okay now, though. He's a security consultant for who knows how many companies.
It never fails to amaze me how many examples of, quote, hackers, unquote, that make the news, like GeoHots, who the companies, honestly, I mean, if they had their heads screwed on properly, they would say, don't take this guy to court, hire him. This guy knows what he's doing, hire him. But they don't do that. They don't have the brains to do that.
Philosophy, but unfortunately some black hats started blackmailing for jobs. So then they're like, we're not giving anybody who hacks us a job because we're condoning this behavior. And then that wound up getting way out of whack with people like Lamo, who I used to have sympathy for, but then when I found out that Lamo was responsible for stabbing a lot of people in the back on the WikiLeaks thing, I'm like, okay, I no longer have any respect for Lamo, because he basically just sold people for his own money.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. That's a reason for not doing it as a matter of automatic acceptance sort of thing. But surely, I mean, if someone has got that kind of skill and that kind of ability, the first option should be, can we hire them? Are they suitable? Look to recruit them. I mean, they might not be suitable, as you say, They might not be suitable, but they might well be suitable. That they know their way around your back doors, basically. So why don't you hire them to fix your back doors, to close